Hi everyone, welcome back to CG101. Today I'm going to be making my Mount Rushmore for WWE superstars all time. But before we get started with the video, I want to mention something real quick. I'm going to be giving one viewer of this video a shout out, so watch the whole video. I'm going to mention at some random point in the video what you need to do for the shout out. It's just going to be some random thing you got to comment down, and if you commented what I told you to say, then well, I know that you watched the whole video and I will give you the shout out in one of my upcoming videos. So anyways, keep an eye out for that and let's get started. Okay, and I forgot to mention this, but we're also going to have honorable mentions at the end of the video. Once we got all 4 of the Mount Rushmore people labeled, then we're going to have honorable mentions, so there's no spoilers. Alright, ready, set, go. First person that I'm going to be putting on the Mount Rushmore is The Undertaker. First of all, I think The Undertaker is the GOAT of the WWE, and I think he's the one person who's going to be on every single Mount Rushmore list you see, every single top 5 list, every single GOAT debate, you'll see The Undertaker in it. I think Undertaker is, first of all, the fact that he's been doing wrestling at the top level for like 30 years, isn't it? So just that alone gets him a really high place in my rankings. But aside that, it's the fact that The Undertaker's always felt like a big deal. Like, he doesn't even need the championship, and still The Undertaker's matches seem bigger than championship matches sometimes. So, I mean, overall, definitely he's got to be the GOAT for sure in WWE, and he's got to be on the Mount Rushmore for that very reason, right? Undertaker is, in my opinion, the greatest of all time. It is very close between Undertaker and my number 2 on this list, who is John Cena. I think John Cena is one of those people who makes a strong case to be on the GOAT debate for sure, and most people's Mount Rushmore, I'd say it's a 75 to 25 ratio. Most people got him on the Mount Rushmores at least, whether they don't consider him the GOAT or not, but I think honestly John Cena has a strong case to be on this Mount Rushmore. First of all, just due to the fact that he has the most championships in all of wrestling history. In WWE, he has 16, tied with Ric Flair, and that alone, you know, makes you worthy to be in the top 5, top 10 discussion for wrestling all time. But at the same time, we've also got John Cena just being like the best face of all time, the biggest face of all time. And I know Hulk Hogan is close to that, but I wasn't there to witness it, so I can't really make a judgment. I know he's kind of who started the whole boom to the wrestling business, but John Cena is the one who kept wrestling from sinking, because he kind of carried wrestling. He was that replacement after The Rock and Stone Cold, all those guys left after the Attitude Era, right? Then we got this Ruthless Aggression Era to PG Era, where Cena is just, he's a top guy. Whether he was cheered or booed, whatever, you cannot disagree with the fact that he was like the top merchandise seller almost all the time, top ticket seller, biggest face without a doubt in wrestling history ever. I would say it's pretty close between Cena and Hogan, but Cena definitely takes this. That alone gets him to be on this Mount Rushmore. Add on to the fact that he has probably the best mic skills in all of wrestling. So anyways, moving on to number 3 on this list, who is Randy Orton. Alright, so Randy Orton, I'm gonna be honest, is very underrated. Compared to the other people on this list, Randy Orton gets overlooked. I see a lot of people who don't even put him in the top 10 all time. I'm here putting him in the top 4 all time in the Mount Rushmore. So, I mean, I think he has a solid argument for the GOAT debate, to be honest. I could definitely see him being the GOAT once his career is over. Thing is, he has obviously probably the best in-ring skills out of everyone here. He's got the greatest finisher of all time with the RKO. And then add on to the fact he's pretty good on the mic, and the longevity of his career. He's been around since 2002, and he's only had, I believe, like one major huge injury, which was the 18 months back injury. Now he's back, and he's a world title contender right away. Seems like a big deal right away. I mean, he's the type of guy who could dethrone Roman Reigns. That's how big Randy Orton is, and that's how big Randy Orton has been since he won his first world title. And he's got 14 world titles, by the way. That's just a huge feat. I think he's a guy who's gonna get 17 first in WWE, and that right there is gonna cement him even more to be in the GOAT category conversation in this Mount Rushmore. But I think just Randy Orton's so underrated, to be honest, because you see, he was that foil to John Cena. I mentioned John Cena being the biggest face, but you can't have a good guy without having a bad guy. Randy Orton is a good guy and a bad guy. He can play both roles perfectly, especially bad guy. Randy Orton's just the greatest bad guy, greatest heel of all time, and that enough is alone to get him on this list, in my opinion. But then, you know, just his overall accolades, the longevity, overall in-ring mic skills, everything, probably the most well-rounded wrestler of all time. Sorry about that. So I definitely got to put him on this list. And now we're going to go on to number 4, who I had a lot of people who I could have put here. I'm going to go ahead and put Stone Cold Steve Austin. So you see, Stone Cold, honestly, so the Attitude Era is always regarded as the best era in wrestling. I don't agree with that at all. but I will say the Attitude Era was some pretty good stuff from the clips and everything I've seen. So Stone Cold is the biggest name and all of that. He's got the biggest crowd reaction ever recorded in wrestling, where he came to save Mick Foley from The Rock, win the championship, blah, blah, blah. So that right there shows how much the fans like Stone Cold Steve Austin. Thing is, again, I wasn't around in 1997, 98, 99, whenever Attitude Era was going on. So I don't exactly know the hype behind Stone Cold. As much do I see in clips and I'm like, yeah, no, this guy is good, this guy is awesome. Whenever he returns, yeah, no, Stone Cold Steve Austin is awesome. He's got some of the best mic skills in wrestling history. Managed to stay over despite like not being there for 20 years. 20 years later, he comes back, he's gonna get bigger crowd reactions than almost anyone on the roster, right? In fact, not even almost, more crowd reactions than anyone in WWE history. So, I mean, again, Stone Cold Steve Austin's just really good, and for the people who did see him, who were fans of him growing up, just from the crowd reactions itself, I can tell, like, no, yeah, this guy's good, this guy's great, real deal. Plus, add on to the fact that the Stunner is one of the most iconic finishers of all time. Add on to the fact that he's got 2 Royal Rumble wins, 3 in fact, the only 3-time Royal Rumble winner. So, when you think of a megastar, someone who gets, like, the entire crowd hyped up and everything, Stone Cold Steve Austin is one of those. And another one of those is our honorable mentions, The Rock. Before we get started with the honorable mentions, I did mention the shout out. So yeah, if you want to get a shout out, just comment the number 120 in the comments, just random, alright? So comment 120 in the comments, and then I'm going to see first one to do it gets a shout out in one of my upcoming videos. Anyways, let's move on to the honorable mentions. So The Rock, first of all, the reason why I didn't put him on this list is because, first of all, his career was too short. If he stayed a little bit longer, I think definitely he'd be on this list. He's got, like, most entertaining WWE wrestler of all time. It's just the fact that he left WWE, went to Hollywood and all, right? So when he could have wrestled a little bit longer, I don't blame him for that. Wrestling is a tough sport and all, but I just think that's the only reason. His career, his prime and everything was a little bit too short. And The Rock is back, though, now in 2024. He's doing some good stuff with the Bloodline already. Speaking of the Bloodline, another honorable mention, his Bloodline fellow cousin, Roman Reigns. Yeah, so Roman Reigns, I mean, how can you not have him in the GOAT conversation after this run? And speaking of part-time, okay, come on. You want the guy to defend the title every single SmackDown. He was part-time after SummerSlam 2023, fully part-time. He didn't defend the title in 2023 much, but other than that, he did defend the title. I mean, WrestleMania, then we got Backlash. He was there in the build-up to that. He was there in the build-up to Night of Champions, wrestled for the tag titles at Night of Champions, and then wrestled at Money in the Bank at tag match against the Usos, then defended at SummerSlam. He was out with an injury for a little bit, then plus what's Roman going to do at Payback in Fastlane? He goes on at Crown Jewel, defends the title there. I do think he should have defended the title a little bit more in 2023, but I do understand the reason why he was in those tag matches. It's all revolving around the storyline. Speaking of the Bloodline storyline, Roman Reigns' Bloodline storyline, storytelling, all that stuff, that alone, his character work, gets him in this honorable mentions list. I think he's going to be on this Mount Rushmore when his career is over. Roman Reigns, the work he's been doing just in the past 3 years has been amazing. He's got the 3rd longest reign of the modern era, 3rd longest if he surpasses Hulk Hogan, because Bruno Sammartino got 2 reigns, but we're going to count them as 1. So yeah, 3rd longest. And 2nd longest if he passes Hogan. But anyways, just the stuff Roman is doing is not appreciated right now, but it will be down the line. So I definitely have to put Roman Reigns as a strong honorable mention and a strong candidate to be on this list when his career is over. Because when you think about it, he has won championships as a big dog. Sure, fans didn't like him, but fans didn't like John Cena too much either. Now, I'm not comparing Big Dog Roman to John Cena, because Big Dog Roman Reigns was just, he was limited. He had a ceiling, and he was not able to go through that Tribal Chief Roman Reigns. So that himself is like a complete different conversation. The Tribal Chief Roman Reigns himself gets him to this Mount Rushmore status. But now the last honorable mention I'm going to go put in here is Triple H. As I said, Randy Orton's the greatest heel of all time, but I was considering Triple H being that too. Speaking of championships, Triple H has 14 world championships as well. So speaking of ring skills, Triple H he's pretty good in the ring too. I mean, he's alright in the ring. Mic skills as well. So Triple H just, now he's doing great stuff as a booker. You gotta look into that too, right? So I think everything I mentioned for Randy Orton, I also have for Triple H. I may have been a little bit biased because Randy Orton's always been like one of my favorite wrestlers. I didn't really get to see too much of prime Triple H while growing up, right? I mean, I kind of did, but he was always a bad guy in The Authority, which I didn't like. Randy Orton was a bad guy who I did like. I don't know. I just think Triple H does deserve an honorable mention here. He's not always talked about in the GOAT conversation or in the Mount Rushmore conversation, and I think he should. I would put him on the list. It was really close, honestly. I was considering him. I was considering Roman. I wasn't considering Rock too much, but Triple H and Roman were the two people I considered to be on the list. They didn't make it though. But anyways, now remember what to comment down for the shout out. Remember to leave a like, subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.